let's watch the clownfish video on it, because it looks like Tiki's getting in on this one. So this one I definitely think I think clownfish is probably going to be a good one for this. They got a kind of long video, so they might get in depth. So, like, I'm really curious about this, because if this is a case where an animal got euthanized because fuck people having a pet, because I encountered people that have had like raccoons and squirrels as pets. I have. So I'm really curious because I'm not going into this thinking, oh, the government like is evil and they're doing evil shit. I am not going into this video like that, because I don't know anything about it. So I really am going into this whole situation cold. I know nothing other than the fact that the squirrel was euthanized. I do not know the reason. I do not know the rationale behind it. So I think that's the best way to go into it, is not knowing shit. And once I find out what the reasons are, I may either say, okay, I can understand the rationale behind this, or I'm gonna be fucking pissed. So, chat, if you guys already think you know how I'm gonna respond to this, then I will just suggest you buckle the fuck up, because it's about to become a bumpy ride.
Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're together in a video.
Yeah.
She's
I'm gonna try.
Gonna work her way.
And I'm going to apologize immediately for blocking Kiki, for blocking Geeky. Geeky, I'm sorry. I don't want to be in the center of the screen where I'm blocking off the articles. So, Geeky, I will apologize now for blocking. Yes, I know she's been sick. I could hear her voice just now. I know she's been feeling very bad. I think she had the coof. But Geeky, if by chance you happen to watch my videos, which I doubt you do, but if you do, my apologies for blocking you. I'm sorry, I've just got nowhere else to put myself. And Reed Joker, thank you for the follow.
Through this one, she's not feeling very well, but it's an important topic. We're going to talk about Peanut the squirrel and Fred. We can't forget
Everybody keeps forgetting Fred the raccoon. Yeah, no. So apparently, if you weren't following it, what happened was Peanut the squirrel. This guy rescued Peanut the squirrel when he was a baby. The mom got hit by a car. And Peanut the squirrel was an internet sensation. It led to a animal sanctuary where they rescued animals, and that was funding it. And apparently, we're not going to name the name, but some woman, and apparently in Texas, was mad about it and saying that he was, you know, what was he doing? Taking advantage of the squirrel.
Yeah.
But people say it's because she was jealous that they were bigger than she was. I don't know. And called the state of New York a bunch of times until they went and did something about it, and it led to a whole scenario which we're going to talk about in a minute.
Yeah, so...
Wait. This is all stemming from some stupid fucking cunt in Texas who was butthurt that Peanut the squirrel was getting more attention than either her or her fucking animal? And so she harassed the state of New York, and the state of New York capitulated. And to one fucking person who had a stick up her ass about this. If this is the case, yeah, I'm about to rage. And Joker, I'm glad you've been enjoying my videos. Welcome. Now you're gonna get to see me rage live. Enjoy.
So let's talk about Peanut the squirrel before we get into it any further. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. I don't know if woohoos are warranted.
You're gonna get it. Well, I'm gonna give you woohoo because you're watching woohoo, and I'm gonna warn you. I'm going to probably yell in this video, but it's gonna be very squeaky in honor of Peanut the squirrel.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Iron, thank you for the 2 gifted. Thank you so much. Barb, I don't want PETA anywhere near any animal right now. PETA has such a horrible track record. I don't want them near any animals.
Karens and bureaucrats will destroy civilization if we don't stop them.
Mm-hmm.
Just real quick, check out clownfishminus.com if you want to support the channel. Yeah, Geeky's pretty fired up. We've been following this for the last day or so. She's been following it a lot more closely than I have.
Oh, I'm a huge ammo person. And like, I mean, I went across a busy street to pull a bunny out of the road that had gotten hit that was still okay, it was dragging itself. We drove it 2 hours to a rescue.
Yes, we did.
But I went across the street in traffic to pull a bunny. And then I put pressure on its leg and everything else. I said, but I mean, I don't mess with animals. I am so mad.
Yeah.
I can't promise I won't start.
Yeah, and I'm the same way as Geeky. I remember back when I lived in the States. When I was living in the United States, at my home, it was discovered while the lawn was being mowed, there was a rabbit burrow in our backyard. Because while the lawn was being mowed, somebody saw that there was this little patch that was moving. And so we checked it out, and it was a rabbit burrow with babies in it. Baby rabbits. Mama rabbit was nowhere to be found. Either the mama rabbit got scared off by the lawnmower, or we had dogs at the time, so the dogs could have scared it off. And so I brought the baby rabbits inside, and for the next, 2 days, I did my absolute best that I could with, an eyedropper and, sugared, water to try and nurse them, and unfortunately, none of them survived. I tried my best that I could to try and nurse them, but it wasn't enough. So, like Geeky, I love animals. I will go out of my way to help an animal if I can. I've had instances where ducklings fell into a storm grate or something, and the mom was sitting there, and I with other people got the ducklings out of the storm grate and everything. So I'm 100% with Geeky on this when it comes to wanting to help animals anytime you can.
Start bawling in this video either. But so apparently, the story is this woman, which we're not going to name names, called and complained. So the state of New York, the Department of Environmental Conservation, sent people from Albany, New York, 2 hours away with a court search warrant.
What?
For the squirrel and a raccoon. And apparently they made the person him and his wife stay outside for 5 hours while they ransacked their house finding it. And then from my understanding, the squirrel bit them because why wouldn't it bite them? They locked its owners outside and ransacked the house trying to find it. So of course it fucking bit them.
Yeah.
And they turned around and euthanized the squirrel and raccoon to test it for rabies. They were in the house first of all, they didn't have to euthanize them. They could have put them in quarantine. Yeah. Especially when the risk of rabies was so low because they were indoor. They were mostly indoor animals. They were in the sanctuary. Very unlikely they had rabies.
Well, not only that, if they were in the sanctuary, my guess is they probably had veterinary care. I don't know if this is going to come up. They very likely would have had veterinary care. And if they had veterinary care, they would have medical records showing that they were vaccinated for rabies. In which case, there would have been no need to euthanize them because you have actual veterinary records saying, yes, they were vaccinated against rabies. And why in the ever-living fuck did they jump from, okay, some stupid bitch from Texas is calling to bitch about internet animals. How did this jump to a fucking court order? How did this go from phone call complaint to goddamn search warrant court order? I want to know the goddamn logic behind that. Why the fuck is this stupid cunt from Texas able to abuse the criminal justice system because she's fucking butthurt that she can make a complaint and they'll instantly file a court? Does she not need to be an actual complaining witness of some sort? Seriously.
They knew that. They could have done that. They didn't. They killed them. And now the internet is all against them. Everybody's against them because there's this massive overreach. I understand the squirrel and the raccoon might have been not things that you could have had. He was in the process of getting permits for them, apparently. He was working on it already so that he could, make sure everything was on the up and up. He was already doing it. They knew that. And I guess one of the things that someone else mentioned was one of the things that they were concerned about is, I think it's his wife is from Germany and she's here legally. And they started questioning her about her papers. I'm like, since when do you fucking care about papers? If she was illegally here, you wouldn't ask, would you? No, you'd probably give her...
Wait. His wife is a legal immigrant, and they're saying, papers, please. Chat, I know I know I've said something about throwing around certain words because they've lost their power, but that sounds really fucking familiar, doesn't it? Papers, please. That sounds pretty fucking familiar. And Revan, you're right. If it's not on the warrant, they shouldn't have asked. At all. That was not within the scope of the warrant. So even if, for some crazy reason, she didn't have her papers and they arrested her, instantly thrown out, fruit of the poisonous tree, because it was not within the scope of the warrant, and they had to actually investigate to determine that. Holy fuck. Well, Xanax, here's the thing. This is not New Yorkers. This is the New York criminal justice system. There's a big difference there. There's a big difference between New Yorkers and the New York criminal justice system. Yeah, is it any shock to anyone that nobody fucking trusts the legal system or the criminal justice system, to include the court and the cops? No one fucking trusts them anymore because of shit like this. They kill the fucking squirrel because some stupid cunt from Texas, and yes, I'm going to keep using that word because it fits her perfectly. They're gonna kill a squirrel that the papers were in process of, or he was trying to work on getting permits for the sanctuary. They're gonna kill the squirrel because the squirrel bit them after they terrified the squirrel. Bear that in mind. They terrified the squirrel, tearing the home apart. Big shock that the squirrel bit him. And then after that, they find out that the wife is a legal German immigrant.
It took them 5 hours to find them in the sanctuary. The most obvious place. Something doesn't add up here.
I don't know where they found it, but why not ask the homeowner who has worked with a squirrel, can you get the squirrel? So the squirrel is not terrified. Now, maybe they did, and the guy may have refused. I don't know. But this is why nobody trusts the cops, and why nobody trusts the cops and nobody trusts the courts. Because of shit like this.
For money. And say, oh yeah, keep the squirrel. But because she's here legally, give her, when do you fucking care about papers? If she was illegally here, you wouldn't ask, would you? No, you'd probably give her money. And say, oh yeah, keep the squirrel. But because...
Dickie's not wrong there. Because if she was there illegally, they would have just been like, oh, sanctuary state. Because if I'm not mistaken, New York City is a sanctuary city. So, Dickie's not wrong. If she was illegal, they would have basically done sanctuary city bullshit. And then like, cool. But because she's there legally, they want her papers? I'm sorry, what? Where's the logic there? Where's the fucking logic there? It's like fucking ass backwards logic. And bearing in mind, the man's wife did things the right way. She filed her paperwork. She immigrated legally. And she's being punished by harassment.
When I heard the news of Peanut,
Yeah. Here's the crazy part. She did everything legally, and she's getting harassed. If she'd done things illegally, they would have rolled out the red fucking carpet for her. Figure that shit out.
Say, oh yeah, keep the squirrel. But because she's here legally, you know, oh, we got to question you at paper. Since when do you give a fuck about paperwork? You haven't so far.
Yeah.
But now, this poor squirrel's dead. They killed the raccoon too. And it's unbelievable. Way overreaching, unnecessary. And if they killed them because of rabies, they didn't need to. They could have quarantined them because it was a low risk. It wasn't like they were wild animals outside.
Yeah. And this is what people, we're going to talk about how this has gotten weirdly political.
Oh, yeah. This is not even about politics, you dumb bitches.
Because, of course.
We'll talk about dumb bitches here. We have the Washington Post.
What? What? The MAGA squirrel deserved to die. Someone needs to tell this brain trust that is claiming to be a journalist, animals can't vote, you stupid fucking cunt. Maybe you need to get a refund from whatever college you supposedly got your degree in journalism from. Because they obviously didn't teach you that animals can't fucking vote and therefore are not political, you stupid bitch.
Writer. This actually was public, so we'll put that out there. She works for the Washington Post. Oh boy, she didn't walk out when Bezos wouldn't pick a side. The MAGA squirrel deserved to die.
Yeah, okay, so why they're doing this, they're trying to make it political. Because some of the people that were running the story when it first happened out of outrage tend to lean right or right-leaning accounts. Yeah. So they're making it out like it's a MAGA issue. This isn't a political issue. Stop trying to make it a political. If it's not that, the other moronic thing they're doing is, you didn't care so much about George Floyd. Fuck you. This has nothing to do with George Floyd. That was your...
How the fuck were you jumping from the squirrel to George fucking Floyd? Because, if memory serves, there were a lot of fucking protests and riots for George Floyd. I'm pretty sure there are no protests for Peanut the squirrel yet. There's a lot of pissed off people, and people are talking about it online. No cities have been destroyed because of Peanut the squirrel yet. Now, is it possible that people in New York are going to do something similar? I don't know. It's fucking New York. How the hell should I know? But to make the comparison of Peanut and George Floyd means you have no leg to stand on. That trying to make that comparison means you're an idiot. Because the two can't be compared.
Years ago, and if you remember, when that happened, pretty much everyone was in agreement that that went too far and never should have happened. You had won everybody over. And then you had to take it and then start riots. And then start harassing people to put BLM stuff in your bio and shit. No, This isn't George Floyd. That was years ago. People can be outraged for a squirrel. It's not a political thing. People across both sides of the aisle are mad about this. Has nothing to do with politics. Because Elon Musk shared it doesn't make it the MAGA squirrel. And then people who own the squirrel won't even be political. They said, we don't take political sides. And I respect that because...
There you go. The people that own the squirrel were not even Trump supporters. They were not. The owners were fucking apolitical. So, what that means is this stupid bitch literally did this for clicks. She literally used Peanut's death for fucking clicks. Because the owners were not even Trump supporters. So number one, she used him for clicks. Number two, she just showcased herself as a lying, hypocritical bitch. Flat out. And Jeff Bezos, you own Twitter, or you own Twitch, so maybe you might hear my stream. I doubt it. But Jeff Bezos, Are you happy employing someone to write for one of your papers that is going to be making statements like this that are not even true and are literally defaming the people who were caring for this squirrel? She's literally defaming them by claiming that the squirrel, which fucking duh, and the owners were Trump supporters when they were not. Are you gonna continue to employ someone like this? It? Oh, that doesn't surprise me, Aki. That doesn't surprise me.
Stuff in your bio and shit. No, this isn't George. Both sides of the aisle are mad about this. Has nothing to do with politics. Because Elon Musk shared it doesn't make it the MAGA squirrel. And then people who own the squirrel won't even be political. They said, we don't take political sides. And I respect that because we don't usually either. I'm just getting so fucking tired of it.
It's getting harder and harder not to. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, but then the Washington Post, was I said who was the Washington Post? Is that who it was?
Yeah.
Right, goes out.
She related to Mia? Yeah. I'm guessing she probably got so many responses telling her. Basically, she probably got thousands of, well, I'll generalize and say mean comments. I won't specify what I know they were, but I will just say that they were mean comments and leave it at that.
Makes this comment probably because there was an article and it wasn't
real.
This
tweet has been deleted
about saying that it was a rallying cry for the far right, and it wasn't a real article. It's probably a lot you get attention for it. Well, good way to go, sweetie. You got lots of attention for it, Jen. Good job. Yeah. It's nothing to do with politics, and you are a heartless bitch.
Yeah, I mean,
I stand by that.
People are pointing out.
Bitch is too kind of a word. I've already used the word that she deserves to be labeled as several times, and I stand by it.
Out that, boy, you know, the state of New York is not really doing much to clean up crime. They're not doing much to take care of illegal immigration, but they will put all their resources into
a squirrel.
Killing a squirrel.
Killing a squirrel and investigating legal immigrants. Well, let us not forget that. They're letting illegal immigrants just run roughshod over New York. They're letting criminals just do whatever the fuck they want in New York. But they're throwing all sorts of state resources into killing a squirrel that bit one of their people because of their own fault. Not because of anything the squirrel did, because maybe there's a story talking about it. My guess is these people terrified the fucking squirrel. When they were tearing up the house for 5 hours, they probably terrified the squirrel. Yeah, but they had to get that squirrel because the stupid bitch from Texas is complaining about it. So the squirrel was probably terrified. What does any animal do when it's terrified? It attacks when cornered. Instead of doing the smart thing, like put out a trap. A humane trap to catch it alive. Or ask the fucking owners, can you please get the squirrel? No, they tore the fucking house up and then said to the illegal immigrant, papers, please. When they don't give a fuck about the illegal immigrants. So that's where people are getting pissed off. They're spending state and government resources harassing law-abiding citizens and letting the illegal citizen and non-citizens do whatever the fuck they want. Yeah, people are fucking pissed because this is not simply about the squirrel. Do my best German accent? Okay. Papers, please. That's probably a really shitty. I can't do a German accent. I cannot do a German accent. I'm sorry. That was a really shitty accent. I apologize to all German people. I did a terrible German accent. I cannot do German. I'm sorry. But this is the reason. Yeah, well, I can do British. That I can do. I can do British. But this is where the anger is coming from regarding Peanut the squirrel. Is there anger over Peanut being euthanized? Yes, of course. Of course it did. However, what's caused this to be such a lightning rod is the amount of resources that are being put into... Wow, that was delayed. Okay. The amount of resources that were put into doing this, and the harassment that was involved in it, for law-abiding citizens. That's why it's become a lightning rod. It's because it's showcasing how New York fucks their regular people, fucks over their citizens, but leaves everybody that's doing something illegal alone. And that is a big reason why people are pissed. Yeah, they're gonna use peanuts, euthanasia as an excuse, but it's just it's basically adding another spotlight to this problem.
Literally
And
a
the
court.
raccoon. We can't forget
The
about that.
raccoon. Literally a court order signed by a judge for a search warrant to go get a squirrel and a raccoon. And apparently other people are coming out and saying they're in other states too, and they...
Okay. I disagree with this. This first one. This right here is disingenuous. Very fucking disingenuous. This was not the Democratic Party that did this. Let's not twist shit here. The Democratic Party is not the ones that are responsible for this. This is on the part of the legal criminal justice system of New York City. This is not political. It is not. So this right here by Robbie Starbuck, whoever the fuck he is 100% gaslight. This is gaslighting. It's not political. Kamala Harris and the Democrats had nothing to do with this. So I'm calling this out as bullshit right now. And this is, again, Rygat, correct. And I've said the same thing. This is the other side going to the extreme by basically trying to say, oh, the Democrats killed Peanut. They had absolutely nothing to do with it. It is 100% disingenuous and gaslighting. Absolutely. It is, and it's a flat out fucking lie. Well, okay, yard dog. I'm gonna call that out. It doesn't matter what the political affiliations are. They are the legal system. The legal system is a separate division from anything political. It does not fucking matter what political alignment the state's attorney or the judge has, or the assistant state's attorney, whomever. If they're a Republican or Democrat, that does not fucking matter. The criminal justice system is apolitical. So it doesn't fucking matter. This entire event was not done at the behest of any political party. It was not. This was done by an assistant state's attorney and a judge for who the fuck knows what their reasoning is. We don't know what the reasoning is. Guarantee you, though, it was not done with political means in mind. Yes, judges do run for office. It's not political in the vein of which we typically refer to as politics. Judges running for office is like the same thing as indigenous peoples running for the position of chief, because they do run for the position. So it's in the same vein. It's not like political parties. And Seismic Explode, thank you for the follow. And Dante, thank you so much for making yourself known. Now, Mods, if you wouldn't mind taking care of that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you kindly, Heck. Thank you for making yourself known, Dante, so we can get rid of you. Anyway, so let's keep going. Let's see. I mean, we're only 6 minutes in this. Let's see how much worse this can get.
They had animals they were rescuing and working on rehabilitating, and they killed their animals too. And the thing is, in this case, Peanut, they tried to out and saying they're in other states too, and they had animals they were rescuing by a judge for a search warrant to go get a squirrel and a raccoon. And apparently other people are coming out and saying they're in other states too, and they had animals they were rescuing and working on rehabilitating, and they killed their animals too. And the thing is, in this case, Peanut, they tried to release, apparently he tried to release Peanut before, okay?
Yeah.
They tried to do the right thing and release him. He came back, I guess he had gotten in a fight with another animal, lost part of his tail, he was severely injured. So this animal clearly could not be rehabilitated, and this happens.
Yeah.
So he was trying to get the paperwork he needed to keep the squirrel, everything else. He was doing what he needed to do.
Yeah.
It was so bad, TMZ put them on air.
Yeah.
Wait. The incident was no laughing matter. An emotional interview. It's not only tore my family apart, but Peanut was the cornerstone of our nonprofit animal rescue. And 10 to 12 DEC officers raided my house as if I was a drug dealer. I sat outside my house for 5 hours. I had to get a police escort to my bathroom. I wasn't even allowed to feed my rescue horses breakfast or lunch. I sat there like a criminal after they interrogated my wife to check out her. What the fuck? Oh my fucking god! This is fucking insane. Like I said, this is going beyond the squirrel. The squirrel is being used as the lightning rod. No mistake. No question. But this is going so far fucking beyond the squirrel itself. This is basically... I know this is taking it to something of extreme, but right here, what we're seeing right here, this is goddamn Gestapo tactics right here. Lightweight tactics. Because this is like... You got 12 officers raiding a house for a fucking squirrel. They were tearing a house apart for 5 hours. He had to get an escort to go use the bathroom. And they're interrogating his wife for immigration status, which was not on the warrant. They had no legal right to ask her to check her immigration status. None. I really hope that this guy files a civil suit. I guarantee you, his phone has been ringing off the hook by civil attorneys saying, dude, you're going to be able to take the state of New York, or the city of New York, whoever was responsible, if it was state or city, you're going to be able to take them to court for a lot of fucking money. Yeah, he needs to sue the office of these officers, he needs to sue the assistant state's attorney, and he needs to sue the judge. Because not only did they go well beyond the scope of the warrant, but then there's even the question of the warrant itself. And basically, I have to wonder, we are getting an overview. Bearing in mind, we are getting a fairly broad overview. I'm guessing there are probably about a dozen civil rights violations that have happened. I'll betcha. There are probably about a dozen civil rights violations that any lawyer worth his or her salt will be able to demolish New York City with. I'm very curious how this is going to go after this.
He said this is Longo. This is the guy who was the owner, dad of the squirrel. It's not only torn my family apart.
Slave ship captain. Thank you for the follow. Nice name.
He said, but Peanut was the cornerstone of our nonprofit animal rescue. And 10 to 12 DEC officers raided my house as if I was a drug dealer. I sat outside my house for 5 hours. I had to get a police escort to my own bathroom. I wasn't even allowed to feed my rescue horses breakfast or lunch. I sat there like a criminal after they interrogated my wife to check out her immigration status.
Exactly. But again,
Said authorities went through every cabinet, nook, and cranny of his house during the search. They got a search warrant 4 departments and a judge signed off on a search warrant for a squirrel and a raccoon, and then they took them and killed them.
That irritates me so much too. Why do you care about her immigration status? Meanwhile, you have all these illegals running the streets. What little 5-year-old got raped the other day by someone here illegally.
That's why
you're
people are
letting
mad.
them in. You keep letting them in. You don't do anything to check their paperwork. Hell no. You give them a plane ticket. You give them cash. You give them food stamps. You give.
Let's see. In announcing the rodent's death and holding a framed drawing of the squirrel, he said, "Peanut was the best thing that ever happened to us. R.I.P. my best friend. Thank you for that." Okay. And then that's the end of the article. Okay.
They get more than our poor disabled vets or homeless vets get.
Yep.
They get all this stuff handed to them.
Damn
Meanwhile,
right.
the regular citizens are like trying to figure out how to buy food. And they're getting everything handed to them, you know, along with, you know, all these people coming out and saying that they were told to register to vote. I'm like, they are not allowed legally to vote. All this other shit. Why do you think they don't want ID now? All this other shit going on. And they'll overlook.
Titi is 100% right about this. They're bringing in illegal immigrants by the thousands. They're giving them money. They're giving them a home. And yet you have millions of homeless people, disabled veterans, that can't get bought. They can't. They need help more than illegal immigrants do. And they are shut out in the cold. 100% shut out in the fucking cold. They're ignored by a government that wants to help illegal immigrants who actually harm the citizenry versus helping its own citizens. This is why people, as of late, have been bringing up the Second Amendment and talking about the constitutional right to keep a government in check when a government gets out of control. This is one reason why people are talking about that so much. Alex, I can't stand any of them. I cannot fucking stand any of them. That's why I've said over and over and over again, the entire system needs to be torn down and rebuilt from the ground up. Because the entire system is broken. It's 100% broken and needs to be rebuilt. Well, it makes for what it does is with the illegal immigrants is it makes for great, look at us, look at how great we are helping the poor unfortunate souls for the suburban voters that don't have to deal with it. That's the thing. They're using it as a means of saying, look at what wonderful things we're doing for people. When the people they're caterwauling to don't even reside in the area where this is happening. So they're not seeing the effects of it. They're just like, oh, they're doing all these wonderful things. They must be great people. Let's vote. And it's all started to come home to roost because the internet never forgets and the internet is very loud these days. And it's not working anymore.
Overlook that.
Yeah.
But they question her immigration status when she's doing it legally because of the squirrel and the raccoon. This is why people are mad. The overreach is beyond. And there was no reason to kill them. They could have been quarantined. And if they wanted to send them to another facility that's licensed until they could get a license or whatever, they could have done it. Now, I don't think the woman who reported it knew they were going to kill them. Yeah. Because she said that she thought that they were being exploited, but she never, I don't think that it was her intention for them to be killed.
Okay, Kiki's being generous here. Considering it's some stupid bitch from Texas that called all the way to New York and somehow got a fucking state's attorney and judge to sign off on a search warrant, I still want to know how the fuck that happened. I still want to know how one person calling from Texas somehow got the fucking New York court system mobilized to have an assistant state's attorney file for a search warrant, a judge to sign off on it, 10 to 12 fucking officers coordinated to raid this fucking house. How did one fucking Karen from Texas make this possible? How the fuck did this happen? That's what I want to know. That's what everybody should be screaming to know about. Everybody should be screaming that from the tops of their lungs. How the fuck did a single call from a woman in Texas cause all of this to happen? Bribes don't make sense, Holocron. Who bribed who? Who bribed who? For what reason? For what fucking reason? This is the part that doesn't make sense above all. How did this huge fucking operation, and make no mistake, this is a big fucking operation for all this to happen. How did all of this get mobilized? Rook, if you've got something, I'll consider it. How the fuck did a single fucking phone call create this kind of mobilization? That's what people should be demanding to know from the New York court system, from the New York State's attorney, from the police department, from everybody involved. That should be the demand is, how did this one phone call mobilize such a huge response? Because to call it disproportionate is an overstatement. Or an understatement, excuse me.
But way to go, bitch. You got him killed. You swatted 2 innocent animals.
Pretty much,
you dumb
yeah,
cunt.
it was a swatting. It was
and
a
I hate
swatting.
that word. It's actually the least favorite word in the world. But it's warranted in this case.
Maybe, Patrick, I don't know.
Swatting. That wasn't the word you're talking.
Okay, but she called them repeatedly. She called them repeatedly. It's a one person phone calling. It's one person making a plate. Yet, okay, one person calling repeatedly. How about the one person calling repeatedly about the gang shootings that's happening in their neighborhood? Fuck all gets done about that. How about the one person calling about the guys dealing drugs on her family's on the corner of her family's residence? Nothing gets fucking done about that. How about the one person calling because you've got because next door is a crack house where people are legally squatting and doing drugs day in and day out? Fuck all that doesn't get done about that. I don't fucking care that she called repeatedly. It's one fucking person making a phone call. How does one person calling to complain about this mobilize such a huge response? That question must be answered by the authorities. That question absolutely has to be answered. How did one person calling repeatedly cause such a huge mobilization? How did that happen?
Talking about
No.
it's like shitting bricks and shitting rocks.
I'm like, and now that being said, I don't think anybody should go after if she has pets or kids or anything after that because
No.
it's not their fault.
So I'm sitting here thinking like this has made national headlines, international headlines, and I'm sitting here thinking like, how do you?
Wait, I want to read that. Anger's face drops in disbelief over why New York authorities killed a squirrel. All right, that's what Albany's focusing on. The disgraceful killing of a man's pet squirrel began when New York authorities raided his home. During the raid, Peanut investigators with authorities used to justify euthanizing the test for rabies. They could have quarantined Peanut, observed him for any signs of rabies without resorting to extreme measure. Said they could have not only the internet famous squirrel, but also broke the hearts of the owner. And the raccoon met the same fate to test for rabies, but the raccoon didn't bite anybody. That's even worse. The raccoon did not bite anybody. So what was their reason for euthanasia? To test for rabies? They could have done a blood draw for that. It was unnecessary. They were not on a time crunch with with dogs. They do it with dogs because it is time sensitive with rabies. They'll do it with the dog to basically extract brain tissue and do the test. Raccoon didn't even bite anybody. And yet they euthanized it to test for rabies. So they're fucking lying. This is when the officers on site lying that they euthanized it to test it for rabies. They lied. There's absolutely no justification to euthanize test for rabies when there was no immediate concern regarding the raccoon.
How do you explain to your kids, and she's got kids, and again, do not harass her kids, do not go after her pets. I don't think she knew this was going to happen, but clearly she was a Karen.
I think maybe, I don't know if she knew this was going to happen. I also don't think she didn't care. I think she just wanted to make the lives of the owners of the squirrel miserable. Because that's what Karens do. They usually just want to make people's lives miserable. Is she upset that the animals were killed? Honestly, I don't even know. It's entirely possible that when she heard the news about this, she either went, oh, so sad. Anyway, moving on. Or she may have said, good. Who fucking knows? I don't.
How do you explain your kids that you're the one who got Peanut the squirrel and Fred killed? Mommy's going to be best known. Mommy's going to be best remembered for the rest of her life.
I won't go that far,
probably
King.
the most hated, reviled woman on the internet.
Because she kept calling another state. It had no impact on her at all. And then they said they just used that test for rabies. And they even said they could have quarantined the animals. They could have. That's what they do a lot of times. If they don't think there's a high risk for rabies, they'll quarantine them. There was no reason. They did this why do you need 10 to 12 agents and a search warrant signed by a judge for a squirrel and a raccoon?
Hi, Shadenison.
Why? This is overreach. This is abuse of power.
Yep.
This is bullshit. You don't need, it's overkill so many
100%.
ways, no pun intended. And you
100%.
You just did it to be like, because you could, just to show them. And I hope you all get your asses chewed out.
Like, I honestly don't know what logical explanation, because show that they could, like, why? That's the thing. Why? There needs to be an internal investigation into this. There fucking needs to be an investigation into how all this happened. Because none of this makes any fucking sense. From both a logical and illogical standpoint. None of it makes any fucking sense. The level of the response, both in the amount of people that were used, why a fucking search warrant was issued, why 10, 12 agents were there, why the animals got euthanized, especially one that didn't even do anything, that was not responsible for biting anyone. Like, none of this entire case makes no fucking sense. And there needs to be an investigation by an outside agency. Do not pull in someone from internal. This needs to be an outside agency investigation. Because something is not smelling right.
I think there should be an audit of this department. There should be an audit of the New York departments in general.
Yes.
Let's look at this news clip. This is probably going to upset you, but they're reporting, like, these anchors are clearly...
I'm not going to listen to it, but you can play it.
Clearly upset.
I'm clearly upset. I'll start to cry.
Okay. Again, this has made headlines all over the world.
This is NBC.
Disappointing and sad update now on the saga of Peanut the squirrel.
You might have heard this little guy's been making headlines this
Look
week.
at her face. She is pissed.
So am I.
The squirrel has been put down. Authorities seized Peanut from a home in Pine City, New York. It's a little south of Elmira. Apparently, there have been multiple complaints. Peanut's owner says
multiple complaints from one person
by a car, and he's been taking care of the animal ever since. The owner runs an animal sanctuary and says he knows it's illegal to own a wild animal without a license, and says he was working to get Peanut certified as an educational animal. A raccoon taken during the same raid also put down. The State Department of Environmental Conservation says all this is done to test for rabies.
Bullshit. You could have observed.
Look at that face.
You could have observed, you could have done a fucking blood test. You could have done a fucking blood test for rabies. This was not time sensitive. There was absolutely no need to euthanize the animals to test for rabies when this was not a time sensitive issue. You could have observed, and you could have done a blood draw for both of them. And gotten your answer without euthanasia. So this is 50 ways of fucked up. And Kiki's right. An investigation and an audit needs to be done. Because this was done for a fucking squirrel and raccoon. What happens when they do this response to humans? Because they're going to do it. It's going to happen. This is unchecked power. Right now. And it's time to put it the fucking check.
She is like, what? She is angry.
Good.
Well, and Alex, that's why I said do blood tests. You can do a blood test for rabies. So have it in observation, but also do blood tests. And you will be able to get your answer.
You go, girl. You show them, because you know what? And then this woman, I'm assuming if it's true that it's this woman, we don't know that for sure. The rumor is it's this woman. Which again, don't harass the woman, don't harass her kids, or anything else, because it's not their fault that she's a bitch, if it's true.
Let's see. Buckle up, guys and gals, it's thread time. Here's why Peanut and Fred become such a rallying point for people. We aren't suddenly in love with the squirrel and the raccoon. They represent the problems of a very broken Yeah, this is what I said. This is what I said. It's not only about Peanut. It's not. This is what I said at the beginning of this video. Peanut and I forget what the raccoon's name was, had become lightning rods for massive government overreach. Fred, thank you, Revan. Yeah, Peanut and Fred have basically become the centerpieces showcasing how government overreach has gone fucking out of control. I said that right at the beginning of this video. And boom, right here, people are starting to agree. Dr. Sidney Watson, no clue who this person is. Government agencies seem intent on punishing citizens rather than helping them. Want the dude to get a license? Help him? Yeah. Or harassing legal immigrants by saying, papers, please.
Was mad or jealous or whatever, and whoever did it, apparently multiple times. There are people out there already trying to use the freedom of information stuff to get the names or the name of who was supposed.
Oh, hang on. Let's see. For years, we've watched our betters party have engaged in selective application for our laws. They call it restorative justice. Blah blah blah. That's why violent repeated. Okay. Again, throwing this in is a bit disingenuous. This is, again, a bit disingenuous because the court system is supposed to be apolitical. Now, yes, I know you can never truly be apolitical. I know you guys don't have to say it. I understand how the human brain works for the most part. Let's see. It's why violent repeat offenders can assault, blank, and steal and get slapped on the wrist. Jordan Neely was arrested something like 40 times prior to his encounter. They decided their crimes, which are still crimes that were somehow acceptable, they turned a blind at the minority of citizens who were actually criminals and let them continue to harass. Yeah. This is it exactly. This is it exactly. Because the resources that went into getting fucking Peanut could have been used to go after actual criminals. Actual criminals. And this is the lightning rod. This is why it's drawn so much attention, because of the gross misabuse of authority and resources. And it's only going to get worse. It is.
Who supposedly reported it multiple times to verify it. They're working on it right now. They're probably waiting until Monday when the offices are open again. It'll come out exactly whoever you are. It's going to come out because people are already trying to get the information to find out who the hell you are.
Yeah, and the reason it's become political is, again, this is just another example of government overreach. Like, we've got cities, especially New York City.
This isn't about
burning down.
People are mad because of overreach. Why they're trying to make it a political thing is because the people that were posting it was that Ian Miles Chong and Elon Musk, the people who they think are far, far right, and then they're trying to say, well, it's because of politics.
Yeah, well, yeah, anything that comes out.
And by the way, chat, when it comes to political overreach or governmental overreach, it's not only them that do it. Make no mistake. Think about when, after a certain significant ruling by the Supreme Court, a fundamental law or a fundamental right for women was changed in the United States, and the second that happened, how many states in the United States? No, not that one, Dracel. I'm talking about more recently. I'm talking about the one where a woman's right to have an abortion was removed from it was overturned by the Supreme Court. And as soon as that happened, how many states? Yes, I know. I was trying to avoid actually saying it, Revan. I know what the case law was. I just was trying to actually avoid saying it. But once that happened, how many non-democratic states instantaneously banned that particular medical service from women? That is also significant government overreach and abuse of power. Just like this is with Peanut, that was also. So that's why I say it is not only one side that does this, and why I dislike any politics whatsoever. Yeah. No, but Alex, what I'm saying is the state. No, Alex, what I'm saying is the states, those particular states decided to grossly overreach too. That's the point I'm making. Is the states, because we are talking about state, we are talking about here with the peanut thing, we're talking about New York State. And people love to people love to equate it with Democrats. What I'm saying is that with the abortion rights, the Republican states instantaneously ripped away a woman's right to do, many Republican states suddenly said, we're going to tell women what they can and cannot do with their bodies. That's why I'm saying this is not a left or right thing when it comes to overreach as of late. Within the last 10, 20 years, it is not a left or right thing. It's a government as a whole thing. There's overreach coming from every which way. Every direction it's coming from, you're getting government overreach. It's a different type. It's a different type in one way or another, depending on who's in charge. But government overreach has become a huge fucking thing from everybody right now. Exactly, Zans. That's what I'm saying, is it doesn't matter who's in charge anymore. It does not matter who is going to win the election in a couple days. The people in America are still going to be victims of governmental overreach. It's still going to happen. Be it from a federal or a state level. It doesn't fucking matter. And that's what I'm saying. Is that governmental authority from a state or federal level has gone fucking insane. And that's what people are getting pissed about.
Out on X, and I have to wonder, would this have blown up without Twitter becoming X? Because I think this is something, feels like this is something that would have got swept under the rug. Because even normal people would be like, why are you putting all these resources into a damn squirrel?
It's not even a squirrel, it's a raccoon too.
And I think, raccoon, I keep forgetting, say his name, Fred.
I think the raccoon is what they said. They were told that a potential rabies carrying, one that it's high risk for rabies was being in the house. And then they used the raccoon to go in after both it and the squirrel. And because the squirrel bit them, they killed them both.
So this is very much, just to bring it back to the whole swatting aspect, because I saw that there were some streamers getting swatted yesterday.
Yep, Tyson got swatted.
The alleged, because we don't know for 100%, but the alleged person that made the calls. This reminds me very much of like when they were swatting comic book streamers, where you get one Karen, and Karen can be male or female or they, them. And the Karen just calls and calls and calls and harasses and harasses and harasses authorities until they look into it, because they have to, because if something happens and they don't, they're in trouble. But like they do this with jobs.
Wait, hang on. I was reading comments. I missed what Neon just said there.
Could be male or female or stream calls. This reminds me very much of like when they were swatting comic book streamers, where you get one Karen, and Karen can be male or female or they, them. and the Karen just calls and calls and calls and harasses and harasses and harasses authorities until they look into it, because they have to, because if something happens and they don't, they're in trouble. But like, they do this with jobs too. Like, we actually had one time, I've heard multiple stories of this happening, but people calling and complaining, trying to get people fired from their jobs, even if they're self-employed, and all this like weird ass shit that happens. These people are just obsessed. They're completely obsessed. And if she was calling multiple times, they're probably like, she had to keep escalating it.
Yeah, but I mean, but beyond that, coming from Albany 2 hours away, 10 to 12 officers and a search warrant is overkill. I mean, for a squirrel and a raccoon.
And the question needs to be answered. How did it go from a phone call to this level? Why was a single investigator not sent out to the scene to talk? Why did it go from phone call, I'm pissed, this is I'm quote unquote concerned. How did it go from that to full on search warrant? Because any other police investigation where there's a complaint, either human or animal investigation, it does not instantaneously jump to search warrant. That does not fucking happen. It doesn't. Because to get a search warrant, you have to present a judge evidence to indicate why a search warrant is necessary. There was no investigation prior to this. No agent or officer went to their house to say, listen, we've gotten a complaint.
This Karen had to be a Nepo baby and had to have connections somewhere. Every time I have called government offices, I couldn't even get someone to answer the phone.
Well, this wasn't a government office. This was, I guess maybe it was the police department of the state's attorney. But here's the thing. This is what I'm saying. There was not even an investigation. It went literally from phone call to search warrant and raid. There was no investigation. No officer went to the house to speak with the squirrel, the owners of the squirrel, to talk to them, to actually fucking investigate. It went from complaint to raid. How does that happen? How is that possible? On what basis of evidence did the judge sign the warrant? And if the judge, I'm going to say this as in fairness, if the judge was presented evidence by the assistant state's attorney that seemed credible to this judge and signed the warrant, fine. Where the fuck did this assistant state's attorney get the evidence from? Because the only way the evidence could be there if it was manufactured. Because there was no investigation. Okay, baby Jeebus, have a good night. Good luck. Good luck with your job. See, there's a lot of shit fucking stinks here. There needs to be an audit. There needs to be an outside investigation. Not an internal investigation. This needs to be an outside investigation. Absolutely. Well, Alex, you know what? It doesn't matter what the Karen told them. Does not matter. First rule of being a police officer is if you get a complaint call, you do not only trust the call, you investigate. You don't roll in on a call only 100% taking the call as fact. Mark, YouTube is not evidence enough to especially in this instance, YouTube videos is not enough to facilitate a warrant and a 10 to 12 man raid. And I'll bet you that's what the argument is going to be when these people take the city and state of New York to court.
I don't care how many times this person called.
Yeah.
It's over the top reaction. And had they not ransacked the house for 5 fucking hours and did all that they...
And by the way, we saw an example of the YouTube videos. None of those YouTube videos show abuse for the animals. There is nothing in those videos, and I'm guessing the majority of the videos are like that. Not one frame of those videos would indicate abuse of the animal. So that idea that the YouTube videos could be used as evidence is out the window. Because there's nothing in those videos that would show abuse in any way, shape, or form. That doesn't work.
It did. The squirrel probably wouldn't have bit anyone. You were scaring the shit out of it. Of course it bit you. I would have bit you.
Yes.
I would have bit you, if I was sitting outside for 5 hours having to pee.
Everything's broken. Just everything's broken right now. And I don't know if it's going to be better after next week or not. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if it's going to be. But
it's not. No matter. I'm gonna be blatantly honest. No matter what the results of next week are, it's not gonna get better. It is not. Because things are so broken right now on such a wide scale. The results of what's happening next week will not make a difference. It won't. I'll be perfectly honest. It doesn't matter who's going to win. Things are still going to be broken. The only way things will not be, the only solution is to start actually fixing the problems. And even then, at minimum, it's probably going to take at least 10 years before things actually start getting fixed because of the way things move. You are looking at, from the moment things actually start working on getting fixed, you are looking at minimum of 10 years before seeing any results. Because that's how government, state, federal, all of it works. They're slower than a snail. They have to bitch and moan about everything. They have to get in all of their little codicils for everything. They have to put in their little riders to get their little slice of the pie. And so at minimum, from the moment things starts, you might start seeing the results of it in 10 years. So no, what happens next week is not going to matter. It's not, you're not going to see a fix to the problem.
York is in a terrible state right now.
Yeah, this year, we're sick of the government ignoring crimes that actually harm people and communities, illegals,
Yeah.
and being absolutely brutal when enforcing a law over a squirrel and a raccoon that were literally hurting no one.
The disproportionate, the completely disproportionate abdication, or not abdication, enforcement is what's pissing everybody off. This right here, as I said before, this is what has got everybody pissed off. Because you're seeing a completely disproportionate use of resources and enforcement of the law. For a couple of animals that were doing nothing. A couple of animals that had no means of defending themselves legally. Versus criminals who will literally do whatever the fuck they want. That's why people are pissed.
You turn a blind eye to all this other shit that's going on. And we all know why. I mean, I'm not going to say why, but we all know why. We all know why the blind eye's being turned to it.
Yeah.
And you're going to double down on things like that. People who do very minor things, people who are law-abiding citizens get treated like shit. You have to have ID for all this stuff. You have to ID for everything. You can't pay for your groceries and medicines and all that. Too bad. But if you come from their country and you come in here illegally, you could just be given a plane ticket and money and all this other shit, and then let you take over in apartment complexes in Colorado and everything else. They'll let you do all this shit and do nothing.
Yeah, and, am I not mistaken? But have people not been thrown out of their homes or their apartments or something under the auspice? I'm there. Preface this. I could be very, very wrong about this. I thought I'd heard something about this, but I thought I'd heard something in regards to people getting thrown out of their homes, either houses or apartments or something, under the auspice of eminent domain in order to set up illegal immigrant housing. I could be very wrong in this. I thought I'd heard something about that occurring. in, I'm not even sure where. I can't even remember. It might have been New York. It could have been California. I can't remember. But I'm pretty sure eminent domain was used to evict people from their homes to establish illegal immigrant housing. They talked about it in New York. Okay, that could be what I'm thinking of. You know what? That could be what I'm thinking of, is that New York was discussing using eminent domain for that. That may be it. Yeah. So, hey, is it any wonder that government trust is probably at a historic all-time low? And it doesn't matter which side of the equation you're on. Let me be very blunt about that. No matter which side of the equation you are on, trust in the government is probably at a historical low right now in the United States.
Nothing. But they'll turn around, and go after a squirrel and a raccoon with 10 to 12 officers and ransack a house over a squirrel and a raccoon that harmed no one. And then because it bit one of you dumbasses, you put it to sleep when you did not need to. Even the media is reporting you don't need to. A lot of times, if it's a low-risk situation, like this case was, you put them in observation. You get the shots and you put them in observation. And then if it turned out they weren't, then you figure out how to move forward, work with the person to get the permit and whatever they had to do to keep them, which would probably be the best interest for the animals, given that's all they've known. Or if you had to send it to another center close by that they can see, that then send it to an authorized center until they go get them in the paperwork. That's all you had to do. Killing the squirrel and the raccoon was the dumbest fucking thing you could have ever done.
Yeah.
They have pictures of all the officers that work there.
Oh, somebody's going to get fired over this. I mean, it's absolutely. I mean, it doesn't fix it. Doesn't bring the squirrel back.
But then they questioned his wife over her immigration stats. For fuck's sake, that's the icing on the cake.
Well, and it's New York too, and this is like there was a YouTube channel I used to watch when I was all into my tiny house phase. I think it's Cash Jordan. I think it was the guy. He always came up with my recommendations, but he used to take tours of tiny apartments in New York, and I was always shocked at how much like a tiny 200 square foot apartment was like thousands of dollars a month in New York. And his whole focus now is he's pivoting to chronicling the decline of New York City and how much of a hell.
Yeah, we've watched him. I think we may have not watched him on screen. I've watched what Neon's talking about. I've watched several of his videos, and yeah, he is basically. I don't know what his YouTube channel was before, but now it is literally all about how crime is out of control, and no one in law enforcement is doing anything about it. Not a fucking thing. No one is doing anything about the crime. And his focus is primarily on petty crime, such as shoplifting and petty theft. From the ones that I saw, that's been his focus. But it's going to such extreme levels that it's driving major businesses out of New York. That major retailers have shut the doors and have left New York City in droves because petty crime is so rampant. They're not doing anything, and they're not doing anything about it. Oh yeah, I know, Alex.
Hole it has.
Yeah,
become.
but they'll spend how much resources?
But let's go.
After hurting a squirrel and a raccoon. Yeah. I hope they get. That's why I said they need an audit, a public audit.
So
yeah, they are pursuing legal against the government.
I hope they do.
They are
good.
And I was going to say before you do this last thing, I was going to say too. I don't know if they're taking donations for their animal sanctuary or whatever. And these two themselves are not being political about it. They keep stressing we are not taking political sides. This is about the animals. If they are taking, I don't know if they are. If you can donate to them, you can. But it doesn't bring the poor babies back. I'm sorry. I almost made it. I cannot deal with this kind of stuff. I cannot. And especially when it's so senseless and there's no reason for it. I'm out there trying to save every animal I can save, and then people are doing good things and trying to help them. And this is what happens. And meanwhile, there's people out there doing horrible things, and they don't do anything about it.
Yeah. And that is the ever-loving point. You have a couple of people here. You have two people that have dedicated their lives to helping animals. That is what they've dedicated their lives to. To helping animals that cannot help themselves. They're these two are on the sides of angels. They 100% are. And they're the ones that are getting punished. That's the horrifying part of it. People like this that are doing good are getting punished. But the people that are doing evil are being encouraged by nothing being done to them. Think about that. If you do good in America, the government is against you. If you do evil, you have their full support. From the government and from the legal system. Think about how fucked up that is. You have a couple here that established a sanctuary for animals. And because some stupid cunt from Texas decided to get a wild hair up her ass, the city or state of New York decided to invade them. Decide to invade them like they're one of the worst drug dens and kill their animals. These are the good guys. These two people are the good guys. And look what's happening to them. Look at the bad guys. Look what's happening to them. Nothing. They're not being arrested, and if they do get arrested, they have more support by the legal system than a good person can ever dream of getting. That's how fucked up it is right now in America. And this is, I know, in direct opposition to something that we watched the other day about the immigrant from Cuba saying that America's, that people, that confused why people hate America. You can consider America a great country. You can also absolutely hate things about it. And this is one of those things. Absolutely one of those things.
It's just so frustrating to everyone. But if you don't want to donate to them, please, please, please donate to other animal shelters, especially in your area. A lot of times they have a list of things, and it could be like old blankets. It could be things you have at your home already. It could be things that you like to go buy, or sometimes you can just, send it to them via
Good
Amazon
question,
or whatever,
Fishrock.
or just
Good
give them
question.
money. You can do it in the name of Peanut and Fred, and I recommend that you do that.
So you okay?
Not really, but okay.
I'm gonna wrap up with this. This is I wouldn't listen to this geeky. This is gonna.
I can't.
Hi everyone. I don't know how I'm gonna say this. I just want to say thank you to all of you. Peanut was the best thing that ever happened to us. And we got confirmation that they put him down. I want to continue to fight this fight as much as I can, but we need all of you to come together and help us. Please continue to help us raise money for the ongoing legal battles and for our nonprofit so we can keep Peanut's name alive. Thank you all.
This is... I don't think there's anything more I can say. I didn't cry. I didn't cry during this, probably because I'm so fucking furious. That's probably the one reason why this did not make me just break down into tears, is because I'm so fucking pissed about this. My anger is overriding my tears. Will I get angry enough that it turns into that? I don't fucking know. But yeah, Holocron, it's why you and why many others are leaving New York. It's why people are leaving California. California's in the same situation. It's getting, it's just, it's out of control. It is. This is getting out of control. I hope to God their legal battle goes forward. And I hope to God that they're able to smack the ever-living fuck out of everyone in charge. And I hope this puts the biggest fucking spotlight on state and governmental overreach. Because it needs to. It absolutely needs to be shown, and it needs to be dealt with. This is not something that can just be, okay, we're going to be pissed off about it for a week, and then we're going to forget about it. Because let's face it, that's how this goes. With things like this, there's internet outrage for about 5 days, and that's forgotten about. And someone moves on to the next thing that's pissed them off. This needs staying power. With something like this needs absolute staying power. And it needs to be dealt with.